Ladies and gentlemen, Dizzy Edge followers, I am really, really excited to be bringing you this interview. This is a situation where COVID maybe worked in my favor because I have Lauren Lakis right here. And I'm sure there's a whole bunch of other things she'd rather be doing or could be doing right now, but she is stuck at home. So lucky us because we get to talk to her right now. Lauren, on that note, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
It's really cool how I discovered your music. It was like an Instagram thing. I saw like, a like here and a like there. And then my friend Bob Portella, he's been a DJ at WLFR at Stockton State College in Pomona, and he's got a show called Transmission. And he's been doing that for 35 years. And he was telling me about you, and I always trust Bob. I always listen to Bob. And then when I really started listening to your music, when I asked you for the record, and I've just been so blown away by Ferocious. It's so good.
Thank you.
So with that, just real quick, on that note, I bought it directly from Lauren, and I highly encourage, I can't say this enough, everybody, support your local music, support indie rock, support the fuck out of musicians, buy their merch, buy their records, support their cause. It's tough right now. It is tough.
Yeah.
And they want to be playing, they want to be rocking, they want to be doing stuff, and they can't. And it's a tragedy. So let me
thank you for that.
Oh, no problem. Trust me, I get it. On that note, let's segue into how you've maybe perhaps adapted to the pandemic since March and how it's impacted your career and what's going on.
Well, I honestly, I spent the month of March sick as fuck with what I'm assuming was COVID. I actually went and got the antibody test today, and I won't get my results until next week. But I was sick the entire month. So when I first started, like my band, we were supposed to go to South by Southwest, and I had this new record that I was ready to start like showing and shopping to different people, and had like meetings, lined up for South by, and that was supposed to be kind of like my ticket to jump off from there, and that of course didn't happen, but it was a relief for me when South by was canceled a little bit, just because I was so fucking sick. Couldn't even fake it, couldn't even Dayquil my way through it at all. I mean, it was horrible. And
so better now?
Yeah, I feel better now. I do. Yeah.
Good.
But I mean, at first it was really devastating, there was like a grief process, and I just felt like, oh, this was all for nothing, like all my hard work was for nothing, money spent recording this new album, it's all a waste, it's all just,
sad girl breakfast.
It was all sad girl breakfast, from the start. And thank you, I like that. But and then as I don't know, I mean, we don't have 5 hours to talk about the transformation that this time has brought about, but for me personally, overall it's actually been positive in a lot of ways, because I've been such a hustler for so many years and have never taken a break. I won't take a break. So it's having this self-imposed break where it's there's nothing to do but sit with yourself and have time to process all of the stuff that I've been running away from for the past 9 years, 10 years, whatever, being in LA. So it was no distractions, kind of for me, I was getting more in touch with just even who I am as an artist, you know, rather than who I am as like someone who like works really hard.
Right.
You know, it's like, well, what was it that like lit me up in the first place?
Yeah.
You know, and like rediscovering photography. You know,
Yeah.
so like for me, it's always been about like different mediums. Just kind of like sharing that human story however
Awesome.
I can, and like with music, I think like you can really achieve that. But
It's really good.
thank you. It's funny to hear you say that about like Ferocious, because you know it's like anyone who like really digs Ferocious, I'm always just like, well, that's just great because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing when I made that record, you know? And so it's like when I have this next one that I'm like getting ready to put out, and I'm just like, well, you should hear that. Yeah, thank you. Didn't know what the fuck she was doing. No, I just, honestly, it was like, I just had a lot of feeling. I mean, that time I was going through a breakup with someone who like I thought was, you know, like the one, like probably the first person I ever really loved, you know, had like both feet in, and then he ended up turning into just a maniac monster, you know, someone I didn't even recognize, and it was like, whoa, like my love died, you know, so it felt like that, and I feel like that album has that weight of like the love of my life just died, you know.
Yeah, you can kind of tell that you were definitely going through something, you know, and it's but you know, you don't.
It seems like, as though,
you know, even somebody as like Robotron as me, he like could pick up on that, you know.
She was feeling things.
I was like, and it's funny too because when I heard the last song, when I heard that, like, the very first time I heard it, I think I was cleaning my area down here, and the song came on, and I shit you not, when you opened the song and you said like, this is the last song I write about you, my brain instantly made that musical connection to the Carly Simon song, right? And then
and then in the bridge,
and then, yes, and then I was like, oh shit, wow, that's neat, you know. It's like,
I know, I had to do it.
Yeah, I'm glad that you did. So I noticed on no wait, you mentioned you got something new coming out?
Yeah. So,
tell me about that.
So yeah, I guess, okay, well, to wrap up, I guess it's part of like the COVID experience, right? I ended up like, God, like at the tail end of like recovering from whatever that was.
Right.
I like made a video, you know, like a music video, like while in quarantine, you know, just like in the woods in Portland, because I was in Portland for a few months, and yeah, so I was able to like do that, you know. So it was like I was looking for ways to like continue to like work or like get ahead, or like, oh, I gotta use this time, like better take advantage. And it's like, yeah, at a certain point it was like, just chill the fuck out.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm a hustler too. I can't stop. I can't stop. You know, I just
yeah,
I get it.
But yeah, you asked me about the new one.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely. Go there.
Well, okay. Yeah, I mean, like, you know, still having feelings all these years later about different things. But yeah, the next one is called Daughter Language, and it's about kind of like, I guess it's sort of like a spin-off on Ferocious, right? Because it's like, okay, well, how did I end up in that relationship in the first place? Like, why was I so heartbroken? And it's like, oh, well, it's probably because, you know, there's like some childhood shit that like, you know, needs to be worked out. So like, what is that? You know, like what does it mean to be a daughter, you know, of my mom's daughter, my dad's daughter, like a daughter of, like, I was raised in Catholic school. So like, you know, to be a daughter of God, you know, just to be at like this point in time, you know, with everything that has preceded.
Yep.
Yeah. So I feel like Sad Girl Breakfast sort of went into a little bit of like a down tempo, like electronic.
I have that in the car. and I finally started to listen to that, and I did notice that it's similar yet different than Ferocious, and the stick out song so far for me on that one, I haven't had a chance to spin it as many times as Ferocious, but Dark Side. And then even the I think it was the second track on the album actually almost had like a, dare I say, almost like a Nine Inch Nails intro, you know? And I was like, oh
yeah.
Yeah.
I love Nine Inch Nails.
How can you not?
I can't. Yeah, I mean, The Fragile, like, I would say The Fragile is, like, top 3 for me as far as, like, favorite albums. Probably along with Hole's Live Through This, which, say what you will about Courtney Love, but...
Well, I won't get Kurt and Courtney political.
Yeah, what's
here.
your personal opinion there, Lee?
Nope, this isn't about me. This is not about me. You want to hear the most diplomatic answer ever?
Yes.
The songwriting on that album is fantastic.
Oh, great. I know what you're saying. Okay, whatever. It is. But you know what? The album before that, Pretty on the Inside, is punk rock as fuck and also extremely prolific. And it's so funny because Courtney didn't even know Kurt at that time.
Yeah. No, look, I'm not here to knock Courtney at all. I'm not.
It's fine.
And you gotta understand, when I grew up, I was going through my real wild times when all that was going on, and the grunge era and Nirvana and Hole and everything is deeply rooted in my 20s, and it hit hard. You know what I mean? It really did, and it impacted my entire generation. All right, so let me see here. Where do I want to go next? All right, so I have a question about Mourn the Dead. Okay. That was the track that just jumped off the record and into my brain. The lyrics, I'm gonna mess them up a little bit, okay? But it says, you taught me how to mourn the dead, and then you disappeared, right? Is that okay?
Something like that. I don't even remember. Sure.
Sure.
Oh, right. No, it's right before you disappeared.
Right before you disappeared. Okay.
Yeah.
So, is that literal? Is that a song about somebody that literally kind of helped you through something and then they vanished as well? Or is it kind of like metaphoric for the departure of that relationship?
It was metaphorical. Yeah, it was like, because it was like you taught me how to like mourn you,
Right.
Like, yeah.
That's what I was wondering about,
Yeah, so it's kind of like, thanks for the lesson there, teach.
Yeah. Well, look, if it makes you feel any better, it happens to all of us. We all have that person or 5, that we're just like, oh my God.
Well, I'm glad it happened. I'm like really grateful because before writing that record, I sang in a band, that it wasn't totally me at all.
Right.
Really not at all me. And that was kind of like my only experience, like, with doing music and playing shows and stuff. And so going through that experience and that loss, it was like a complete
Cathartic.
Really cathartic, and like a total ego surrender experience where like I think I had to get to that point where I was like, I'm just gonna write something and I don't care what anyone thinks of it, like I'm just gonna do it for me. And
So I want to talk about you as the all-encompassing artist, and when did it start, and what prompted the move from Baltimore? By the way, are you a fan of John Waters?
I actually haven't seen that much of John Waters. Like, of course I've seen Hairspray, and I've seen John Waters like more just in real life than I have like any of his movies.
Oh, okay, cool.
I don't know.
I enjoy his films. I really do. So what prompted, like, when did it start to happen in you? And what prompted the move from Baltimore out to the coast? You know, researching you just so I could, you know, do a correct interview, I found out you're also an accomplished actress, and I was like, wow, man, look at her go. And now you're into, you know, you're touching on photography. So, you know, you seem very rooted in all kinds of forms of expression. So why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So yeah, I guess, you know, well, as far as like a first love, I mean, it would definitely be music, you know, but I just never, yeah, like I remember I was so young. I got like Garbage's first album, like as a Christmas present from like my mom's boyfriend's mom, you know, who she probably just like went to the store and was like, what are the kids like? You know, and they like gave her that first Garbage record, and then they gave her Fiona Apple's first record, and like I remember listening to them and just being so blown away, you know, and I was like, ooh, like especially with Garbage, I was like, oh, this is like dark,
Yeah.
this is dangerous, you know. And yeah, but I don't know, I never really felt like I was like good enough, you know, to write songs. I don't know what that was all about, but yeah, I was really into photography, and then I got into acting, and I actually between Baltimore and LA, I lived in Prague for about 3 months, and then I lived in Tokyo for 4 months.
Oh wow.
And so when I was still in Baltimore, I was, you know, trying to decide, like, do I move to LA and like pursue that whole thing, you know, and because I knew that like if I did that, it would be a huge commitment, you know, and it's like you have to be all in for something like that, and I wasn't really all in, and I wanted to travel a little bit. So yeah, I was in Prague. I like got certified to teach English in Prague, and then couldn't find a job because it's really tough if you're an American in Europe, but it's really easy to get a job anywhere in Asia. So I got a job in Tokyo, and I was acting again when I was in Tokyo as like, you know, like a foreign actor or whatever. And there's a lot of work, you know, it was like a non-Asian person in Tokyo. So I was doing that. I was completely overwhelmed living in Tokyo. It was really like that lost in translation feeling of millions of people being around you all the time, and yet you feel so utterly alone, you know.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be able to handle it, you know.
I couldn't, and I mean, I remember there were like entire days where the only thing I uttered was sumimasen, which is excuse me. And I was like, oh, that's sad. I gotta get out of here.
Well, when you got the Garbage and you got the Fiona Apple, you were like, ooh, you know, this is dark, this is dangerous. Okay. You know, maybe you told on yourself a little bit there, but like, what do you think was in you that attracted you to that style of music? Because there is a very interesting contrast with you as an artist, because, you know, just been talking to you now and in your images and everything, you know, and then you hear the music, you know, and at times they can be two very different things. And I think that's really interesting about you. So are you able to speak on that at all?
Yeah, I had a conversation with someone about this recently, actually, where it's like, I think that sometimes what happens is that like some of the more bubbly people, I feel like they can be bubbly and happy because they're like releasing a bunch of that other shit, you know? And so it's like, it's like I'm getting it out of me, and so like I weirdly have just like a really positive outlook because there's nothing left. It's all like in the music, you know? And like weirdly, like, you know, some of these people that are making like pop music and like, yeah, I mean just pop, like upbeat, like, you know, computer sounding shit that I'm not into, but whatever. Like they're like actually like pretty messed up people a lot of the times. Like they're like the actual, you know, dark. But I don't know. I don't want to like be too judgmental, but
Right.
I'm like they're the ones that like are really pretty unhappy.
I got it.
I don't know.
No, it makes perfect sense. I got it. Got it. All right. So let's talk a little bit about rock and roll, and let's talk about your setup. Tell me about that. Tell me about that Voyager. Tell me about how did that thing like did it find you or did you find it?
Well, are you familiar with Jennings at all?
No, and I'm a
Okay.
guitar player, so I thought it
Okay.
was a Fender. I thought it was a Fender. I
Yeah.
did research, and I was like, I want to play that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful guitar. So the story behind that was that I had a Fender Strat, and I was playing that for a while, and then I was like trying to tune the Strat down to like C, you know, like the top string to C, and like someone was like, oh yeah, it's like never gonna work. You're gonna have to get your guitar like reset up, you know, for something like that. And they were like, have you ever played a baritone? I feel like you need a baritone guitar. And I was like, no, what's that? And then my whole world changed, you know. It's actually, I have both of them
uh,
right here.
uh,
But yeah, so then I was like, fuck, I really need a baritone, because I don't know if you're familiar with those at all, but the highest, you know, the heavy string can go is B. It can't. I mean, I've pushed it to like C sharp, but it's like, you know, about to break,
Right.
snap.
on
yeah,
the baritone.
Yeah, on the baritone. Yeah, and so it's basically like 4 steps down from
Okay,
standard
so
tuning.
if you can get it up to a B, but you want to be in C, can you capo?
You can capo.
Right,
Yep,
okay.
that's what I do. Yeah, so I really wanted to get a baritone, and I am not, you know, like a trust fund kid or anything like that, and so I didn't have a whole bunch of money, and so I traded in my Strat for my baritone, and then I didn't have another guitar that I could play in standard tuning, which was really important, you know, to be able to play any of the songs from Ferocious
Okay.
live.
Right.
So I was using my producer had like this like old like Squire from when he was like 15, you know, and I was like playing that thing, and it was super janky. And I had seen Jennings on Instagram, because I think a friend of mine had one of their guitars, and I remember thinking like, wow, that's a beautiful guitar, like what is that? And yeah, they like, you know, hand build all their guitars. They do like custom work, and they're in Calabasas. And so I just like reached out to them. I DM'd them, and I was like, hey, do you guys ever sponsor artists? You know, because I was like, well, maybe I can like just get free guitar somewhere. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. Who
And how'd
knows?
that pan out?
Well, how did it pan out? Well, I don't know if you've seen this.
God, it's so cool. It's like it looks
Here,
sturdy. It looks sturdy like a Firebird. You know, it's like a cross between a Firebird and like a Jazzmaster or something.
yeah,
Is
it's
it
kind
heavy?
of yeah, it is pretty heavy.
I bet.
Yeah.
That's badass.
Thank
I love
you.
that.
Yeah. So I reached out to them, and I was like, you know, I don't know if you do this, but like I could really use a guitar, and I'll like promote the hell out of you. And they were like, well, you know, normally we give artists like 40% off, you know, but their guitars they start at like $2,000.
Okay. I told you there would be a couple weird questions. If you had to spend the rest of your life as a guitar pedal, okay?
Oh yeah, okay.
What pedal would you be, and why?
This is a really hard question. This isn't one of the questions that I thought about very much.
I actually thought
You thought about it? Can I hear your answer first?
well, this is about you. This is about
Damn
you.
it. Yes, actually, okay. So the pedal itself is not important to me. It's who the pedal belongs to.
Okay.
That's what would really like make me, you know, decide what pedal to spend the rest of my life as.
So that's actually a really cool answer. It depends on who it belonged to. I just put just to kind of support music and support Sergeant. What is it? Sergeant House Records.
I love Sergeant House. They're like my dream label.
I know I'm not gonna win it. I know I'm not gonna win it, but I just put some auction bids in on an effect pedal by Miss Piss. You know, the new band with Chelsea Wolfe.
Yeah.
You know, I just wanted to help. You know, if I get the pedal,
Damn.
awesome. But you know,
I hope you get it.
yeah, well, yeah, awesome. Okay, let's see. So let's wind it down. And you already gave me a few of your favorite musicians. My Bloody Valentine, I'm right there with you. Kevin Shields,
Yeah.
Belinda Butcher. I mean, Loveless changed my life.
Loveless changed my life too. Yeah.
Yes. You know, The Verve, Storm in Heaven changed my life.
Yep.
So, as an actress, who are some of or just a fan of film in general? I mean, who are some of your favorite directors? Whose films do you like to watch?
I would say David Fincher, for sure.
Yeah.
Did I actually love The American Girl with the Dragon Tattoo because I read the books, and I would say that those are that to me is more of the vibe than the Swedish version. Lars von Trier, for sure. He did Melancholia. And then Gaspar Noé, who he did. Well, Love is probably one of my favorite films that he did, but he also did like Irreversible. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but it's like anything that's like they all. I guess the common thread is that they're all very like real and raw, and they are able to like build tension really well.
Yeah.
And all of their films are just shot beautifully, and that's probably the photographer's mind.
Yeah,
like,
well, I mean, Fincher was Seven, right?
Yep, yeah, he did Seven.
Obviously, Fight Club. I mean.
Yep, he did House of Cards as well. Oh my God, I have like a whole list. It's like every single movie that I come across
like
where I'm like, who did this?
Yeah.
And it's him, and I'm like, oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah. Similar to Loveless, Fight Club changed my life. I mean, it was like what a film. I mean, it was just like,
Yeah.
They got me. I was like, holy shit,
Yeah, Mulholland Drive was probably one of those films for me.
Okay, Lynch.
Yeah, David Lynch. Yeah, I really like David Lynch a lot. I have his book on meditation.
Okay.
He just seems so laid back.
Super cool. So, what are some of Lauren Lakis's guilty pleasures? Things that like you'd be surprised that you'd be into,
So I thought about this, and I thought about how, the term guilty pleasure, it kind of like denotes that maybe someone like isn't worth watching or worth listening to, right? Like they're not like you'd be ashamed, to participate in an artist's work, which I'm like, I don't like that, So I guess I would say like something that's maybe surprising would be like coming from Baltimore, like I love like Baltimore club, like rap.
Okay.
Like sometimes I just
but
like
you don't feel guilty about it. You're just like,
I don't feel
like
guilty. No, I don't feel guilty. It's just I think people would find it surprising that like when I'm driving around LA, I'm listening to like Rap Caviar, on Spotify.
Right. Well, maybe I have issues. Maybe I'm just like, I found myself, really digging in on a thing at Ben & Jerry's the other day, and I was watching Friends, and I was like,
oh yeah,
I was like, what the?
No, but like Friends is a great show.
It is. It is.
Wasn't that like the first show where like the actors were making like $1 million per episode? Like there's a reason for that. That's not.
I don't know.
Nothing to feel guilty about. Yeah.
Chandler Bing.
Yeah. And well, actually, so yeah, I do watch a couple of things that I am ashamed of, and I think I can.
Oh, yeah, tell me what they are.
Pleasures. Have you ever heard of Dr. Pimple Popper?
I think my wife watches it.
I'm one of those people that like really loves like popping things.
Awesome. That's a good one. That's a good one. Perfect.
Yeah. And there's another one. There's also 90 Day Fiancé.
90. What is that about?
Oh my God, it's a reality show as well, and it's about people, you know, from different parts of the world that want to be together, and so they get the K1 visa, and they have to live together for like 90 days.
Okay.
And decide whether they want to get married or not.
Drama ensues.
Drama always ensues.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna wrap it up with, when are we gonna get you on the East Coast? I know that's hard to say right now. I know that, you know, Heilong had to cancel their. Heilong's not going to be playing the Red Rocks until 2021. Uncle Acid and Twin Temple had to cancel their entire 2020 tour. You know, I was going to go see my buddies in the Bad Signs. They were going to be playing in Philly, and that whole thing got squashed. It's very depressing. So I guess this is a really hard question to answer. But, you know, you think we're going to get you on the East Coast, Philly, New York, you know, sometime within the next couple years?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I would say probably next year. I think this year, probably not, you know, just because things are still really weird. But definitely in 2021, I'm trying to figure out exactly when to release this next record. The first single is coming out at the end of this month on the 23rd, and then I'm just gonna, honestly, like every month has been, it's like you don't really know what's gonna happen next. So
tell me about it. I know.
I'm assuming, you know, like if the aliens do come in July, then I'm gonna have to like rework, you know, the next single.
It's not that they're gonna come; they're gonna reveal that they've been here all along.
Right.
You know? So they're just gonna come out of the ground. You know.
Yeah. I mean, depending on the timing of that, you know, it's gonna dictate a lot of things for all of us.
Fair enough. And in closing, if there's any final statements that you want to make to the general public, and I also want you to tell people where they can go to get your records, buy your merch, see your videos, everything Lauren Lakis. Put it out there. Tell folks where they can learn more about you, and you know, besides this, where they can find out more and go down that rabbit hole.
Well, first you want to start with WikiFeet. That's like, okay, that is like the most horrifying thing that I've found while Googling myself. There's like a Wikipedia for like feet, like celebrities' feet. I don't even consider myself a celebrity. Yeah, feet. Oh,
I thought you said wiki feed, like a feed.
No.
Oh, really?
No, there's WikiFeet. So
don't
go there.
Okay. LA, baby.
I know. It's a weird world out there. Okay, let's see. I should have a list of things to plug. So let's see. All the music platforms, you just search for Lauren Lakis, and LaurenLakis.com. There's LaurenLakis.BigCartel.com. There's Lauren Lakis on Bandcamp. There's I actually haven't utilized Bandcamp very much until like the past couple of months. Like I didn't even really have anything up there, but I felt like they were doing a lot of really cool stuff. So it's now on Bandcamp.
Okay.
What else? YouTube. I think I'm the only Lauren Lakis in the world. So honestly, if you just like Google that, like you should be pretty good.
All right.
Take care of.
I forgot to ask you one question, and I can always work it back into the interview. If you could collaborate with any artist, do you have any like dream scenario where you would actually collaborate with a musician? And
oh yeah.
What do you got?
I mean, there's like the realistic list, and then there's like, you know, the dream list.
Yeah.
But
okay.
I mean, I would say, you know, you brought up Sargent House, like pretty much anyone on their roster, like, yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
When I first heard Emma Ruth Rundle, I felt like, oh shit, like this is a kindred spirit of mine musically, like for sure, you know. So I'd love to collaborate with her. I also really like Tamarin. I like Tamron a lot. Courtney Love, clearly, although, you know, I don't really know how that would all go down. God, yeah.
What about
There's so
oh, was Courtney part of like the fantasy list or?
she'd be
Yeah.
a fantasy list.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think that that could actually be like easily executed. I don't really know what she's up to these days, but
Right.
yeah, like Fiona Apple, you know, of course. I have this Spotify playlist that's like all of my favorite songs. It's called Shoegazing into Oblivion, and
Okay.
I was looking at this like, yeah, Chan Marshall from Cat Power,
Okay.
of course. Elliott Smith, of course. He's on the dream list, pretty much. Yeah.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. I wish we could talk longer, but you know,
Maybe I'll see you in Jersey.
you better, you know, because I don't think you're going to see me in California. So
Yeah.
you'll have to come. You'll have to come here. All right. All right. It was nice talking to you. Nice to meet you, and I will be in touch. Okay.
Yes. Have a great
All right.
night.
You
Thanks.
too.